one of the cool things that you've also done is you've been very open and forthright with a lot of your dive sites, even some of the more rare, deeper sites. And I kind of wanted to talk to you. You were the first, I don't know if this is infamous or famous, but it depends on probably who you ask, but you actually helped publicize the location of one of our local submarine wrecks, which uh, it was a German submarine that was taken on a tour after World War One, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
help me with the history of this real quick before we.
after the end of World War One, apparently Germany said they had 7 subs left. I think it was 5 or 7. And as part of reparations for World War One, they had to turn them over to England. And England gave 2 of them to the United States, and they would give them to the U.S. Navy, and they would take them around the coast and then through the Panama Canal, go up and down the east and west coast as bond drives for war bonds.
Oh, wow.
People would pay $1 or whatever it was and go aboard and check them out and go, wow, a German sub, this is great. And then part of the agreement with England was that we would do that for, I think it was 3 years, and then we had to destroy them after that. So the U.S. Navy decided to make it a big deal. They took the mayor of Los Angeles and reporters and photographers from the L.A. Times and took it out. They just said somewhere off Long Beach and sunk it. Said, take that, you Germans, or whatever it was.
Little post-war
Propaganda going on.
Exactly right.
And for years, I met people at the dive shop who they told me they'd been looking for it since the 40s.
Wow.
And some of them would go out with anchors in an area they thought it was and drag their anchor back and forth on the bottom, plowing, hoping to find it. Never did, of course.
Oh my
And
God.
then other people, when Loran came out, they would use numbers and go out and search back and forth with fish finders, but never found it for years. And some people actually did have the location. There was a fisherman who had it, and when he retired, he gave the numbers to my friend Andy. And Andy didn't know it was, hadn't checked out, he didn't go out and meter it, but it turned out one of the numbers, after I found it, was those numbers.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
some fishermen knew something was there. They didn't know what it was.
He just thought it was a reef.
Right.
And he was like,
'cause you
I'm
could
getting
see
really
that
good fish off
There
this.
are so many fish there.
Yeah.
Now it's illegal.
Well, don't tell
fish.
anybody.
Well, it's illegal in California to get fish for rockfish under 180 feet. And the bottom there is 185 to 190. So technically, it's illegal to fish, but there's fishing line on it, and there's a huge net on the stern. So people have been fishing for years on it.
Well, that's a big problem is ghost nets. It could just be a ghost net. Who knows?
But it's been there for at least when Gary Fabian and Ray Arntz found it in 1983.
Yeah.
It had the net on it there. Johnny Walker went down and took video of it, and you could see the net, and it's still there.
How did you find it?
Well, a friend and I won't mention his name because this caused problems too. But
Yeah,
we
let's not.
were best buddies for a lot of years. He was also posting when he first moved to LA from Alabama. He started doing the same Palos Verdes dives I was doing, going up and down the cliffs. And I enjoyed his dive report. So I emailed him one day and said, hey, would you like to come out? I've got a boat. You want to come out and I'll show you a few more sites? So we went out and I showed him a few different sites on the boat. And at the end, he says, is it okay if I dive with you again? I said, sure, come on out. We'll go next weekend. And then I introduced him to wreck diving, took him out to the Olympic wreck, which all of a sudden he fell in love with wreck diving. That's all he was interested in. And then he'd bring his wife out and one of his friends. So the 4 of us would go out every weekend on my boat. And then after a few years, when they found the UB-88 but wouldn't tell anybody where it was, that became his obsession. We have to find it. We have to find it. So
And you were willing to indulge that obsession.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to find it, too, because these guys at the dive shop for years telling me, oh, they're searching for it and never found it. So it was the elusive wreck for Southern California, basically. Everybody wanted to go to it, but nobody would claim they knew where it was. But now we knew people who knew where it was, but they weren't going to give up the numbers. So Ross bought the software. Originally, the software that Gary Fabian used, he said he was around, I think, $4,000 to $6,000 just for the software.
Uh-huh.
And so when Ross decided to do it, he bought some different software. It was only about $500, and found a bunch of spots all around the Huntington Flats area and off Point Furman. And we would go out every weekend, metering different spots. If we found something, we'd take turns diving down. We found a lot of pipes, a couple of wrecks we didn't know about, and a couple of barges and things, and an engine, just different things that were dumped out there, which they were interesting dives. We found wolf eels, matrinas, things that you don't usually see close to shore.
I still have only seen a juvenile wolf eel. I haven't been out to the African Queen and saw the big ones.
They're gone.
Are they? Yeah,
Well,
I think you told me that.
Yeah, they removed all the nets from the wreck, which is a good thing, but the wolf eels also left. The last couple times I was there, there used to be 3 on there, and we haven't seen them since.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So they're out there somewhere, though. They're on different wrecks. In fact, somebody told me he saw one on the Olympic.
Oh, perfect.
Which is a very common, that's a popular dive. People have been diving it for years. But my friend and I would go out and just, that's all we did for years. Every dive was almost go out and find the UB-88. And he had so many numbers we would try out, never did find it. And then he and his wife decided to raise a family, and they had a daughter and then later a son, and he sold his boat. So I thought, well, he gave up on it. Maybe someday I'll find it.
So you were still diving coordinates after the original person who was
because they
pushing for it.
Yeah, they were going to tell us, so we wanted to find it on our own. And we looked for a few years, didn't find it, but found a lot of other sites. And then when my buddy kind of retired, he didn't really retire from diving, but he just wasn't diving anymore.
Right,
and
family.
My boat broke down, so we were using his boat after that. And we looked for years, and then he kind of gave up. And I thought, okay, well, I'll find it someday. And then a few years later, out of the blue, he just emails me and says, oh, by the way, I found the UB-88. I said, really? He says, yeah, last August. And this was in December when he emailed me.
What?
Yeah, he was my best friend. I thought, what, you didn't tell me about it? He says, well, because I know you would tell people. I said, well, it depends on, if you found it, say, don't give up the numbers, I wouldn't. But, if I found it, I would certainly want to share it. He says, well, that's why I didn't want you to know. But then he started telling me it's in 230 feet. I said, no, it's not. I saw Johnny's video. I know the life that's there. You don't see these fish below 200 feet. And he said, well, it's near the oil rigs. I said, no, it's not. We checked near the oil rigs, all those numbers out there.
He started to play games with you?
He did.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, okay, well, thank you very much. That was the end of that for a while. And then,
so he tried to basically send you on a wild goose chase.
Well, he didn't even want me to look. He just basically said, I found it, but I'm not going to share it with you. Sorry. Wow, you were my best friend.
Why would you even say that?
I couldn't believe it. He turned out he wasn't the person I thought he was. I still like him. He's a nice guy, but yeah, he hasn't been on our boat.
Yeah.
And so a couple months later, we bought our new boat, No Pressure. And one of the first things we did was go out looking for it and couldn't find it. And then so I downloaded the original software that was $6,000, which was now freeware, which was great.
That's a better deal.
I liked it. So I downloaded that, and you have to anchor parts of the software onto places that are known, like Angel's Gate and Point From, places where you can get the map and get the coordinates that are exact. So I looked around, and all of a sudden I had a list of numbers, and I thought, well, some of these might be my buddy's numbers because we were looking at the same spots. And so I thought, I can't ask him, have you checked this spot or checked this? So I ended up going out to a few of these other spots, and some of them were stuff we had already checked before, but I didn't know because he was doing all this work at home.
Yeah.
And then one day after this, it took months, probably 6 months of searching.
Oh my God.
But I found 3 little spots together, and I thought, well, these are really close together. Did they drop? Is this more pipes or something? Because we just find big, concrete pipes together. But it was just in a straight line. I thought, maybe it's possible. But then I just looked on the big picture. I looked on the map, and I measured it, and it was exactly 10.0 miles south of where the Long Beach Navy base used to be. And it was in about 185 feet, and the UB-8 was 178 feet long. And I just started thinking, I wonder, because I know how the military works. I was an Army brat, and they either do things quick, fast, and in a hurry, or very methodically. And I looked and said, you know what, this is exactly 180 degrees south, exactly 10 miles south of where the Navy base was. So I thought, let me check that out. The depth is right, and this sounds like something the Navy would do. So I went out and metered. We went over the top, and I saw what I thought was the conning tower in 130 feet. It turned out it was the rockfish that are over the top of it. There's so many fish there. It was so thick that it looked like solid.
Oh my gosh.
And so the first time I dived it, I took a video camera out just to see if it was it.
Yeah.
And dropped down, and the numbers I got were right on the conning tower. It was perfect. I dropped down right next to it and looked and said, I can't believe it. I actually found it. So I did a 6-minute dive just recording. And the rockfish were there so thick. I really enjoyed the rockfish more than the wreck itself.
Right.
But I just wanted to prove I got it. So I went back up, and Mary was on the boat waiting for me. And she said I was talking a mile a minute.
I'm sure. How excited were you?
In fact, I was at the ladder. I didn't even climb the ladder. She was just recording me with her point and shoot camera, recording video of me talking a mile an hour. I was just so excited. And since I got home, I wrote a little dive report. I didn't post the numbers, but I wrote the dive report and the video, and I got probably 500 emails congratulating me and asking for the numbers, and 2 negative ones saying, don't share the numbers, people will die on there. But
I mean, people will do what people will do.
Yeah.
But
I had the local boat captains who wanted to take charters there, wanted to take tech divers out, so I gave them the numbers first. And I had some friends in a club called the SoCal Tech Divers Club. Some of them were in dive vets, and I gave them the numbers so they could go out. And they loved it. They were going out every 3 or 4 days diving it. So I was happy that people actually got to see it now. And it turned out some of the other boat captains were taking people out. Eventually, Ray Arndt started taking people out too.